It is difficult for a young guy without experience and connections to find a high-paying job in Mexico City, especially if he comes from a poor family and lives in a slum. That is why, even in junior high, Miguel Sanchez began stealing, and when he grew up, he became an experienced burglar, that is, a thief specializing in burglaries. One summer, after receiving a tip from his friend, a short, dark-skinned guy named Miguel easily entered the apartment on the ground floor and first of all went to the room, a significant part of which was occupied by a large bed covered with a burgundy bedspread. There was a small black bedside table opposite the bed, on which lay a cell phone, a cot. A rectangular mirror hung above the bedside table. A little to the side was a massive closet. Miguel froze for a moment, thinking the furnishings of the room did not exactly resemble the one he had expected to see. "Where are the values here?" he asked himself. Suddenly, Miguel heard a noise behind him. It looks like there was someone else in the apartment besides the guy. Trusting his friend, he made a big mistake. He did not check, as usual, the apartment for the presence of the owners. There was no time to think, but Miguel, as an experienced burglar, instantly assessed the situation. The window in the room is closed. It will not be possible to open it quickly. All that remained was to crawl under the bed or hide in a massive closet. The guy chose the second option. As soon as he ducked into the closet, closing the door noiselessly behind him, the door to the room creaked open, and a lady of about 40 entered it, with a quick gait. The guy was watching her, hoping she wouldn't stay in the room too long. The woman was a head taller than Miguel, solidly built, plump, but not fat. She was wearing a white t-shirt and leather pants. Thick, slightly curly brown curls fell over her shoulders. The woman reminded Miguel of someone, but he couldn't remember who exactly. The guy began to expect further developments with interest and excitement. He took out his phone, deciding to record a video with the mysterious stranger just in case. Meanwhile, the woman went to the bedside table and took a tube, squeezing some jelly-like substance out of it onto her hand. She rubbed it into her neck and lower face in circular movements. Miguel cursed inwardly. It looks like this woman has been stuck in front of the mirror for a long time. Meanwhile, the lady was leisurely brushing her beautiful hair, causing a new attack of Miguel's silent swearing. After a few minutes, she put the comb on the bedside table. The woman bent down to pick up a floral blouse lying on the bedside table when the phone rang suddenly loudly. "Hello, sweetie," the woman said languidly, picking up the phone. "When are you coming?" She was silent for a few seconds. "In 5 minutes? What is it?" she asked. "Okay, I'll be ready for you. Don't stay too long." Her voice sounded surprisingly familiar to Miguel. Moreover, he was sure that he had heard it today. However, no matter how much the guy strained, he still couldn't recognize her. Putting down her cell phone, the woman put on a blouse and began to examine herself meticulously, from time to time correcting some element of her clothes and curls of hair on her head. A melodious bell rang from the hallway, and the woman hurriedly went to open the front door. He could have taken advantage of her absence to try to open the window and slip out, but Miguel was too intrigued to leave. He wanted to find out who this woman was and understand why she was wearing a mask covering half of her face. "Hi, baby. How are you doing?" A cheerful male voice was heard from the hallway. "How long will we be together?" Ignoring his question, the woman asked matter-of-factly an hour and a half. A few seconds later, a woman entered the room. She was followed by a man in his mid-30s who looked like a bandit. He was slightly shorter than a woman, slim, athletic build, short-cropped. He was wearing jeans and a light green striped shirt. On his swarthy face, there was also a mask. It's getting more interesting. Miguel thought, given the black mask on Miguel's face, everyone in the room was wearing masks. But if the presence of a mask on the guy's face was logically justified, then Miguel could not understand the presence of masks on the faces of a man and a woman. Intrigued, he waited for the continuation, forgetting about the jewelry and money. "Do you like it?" the man asked. "It looks like he's going to use her," Miguel thought, and immediately understood everything. The woman was a night butterfly, and the man was her client. She didn't live in this apartment, but just rented it for meetings with clients. Miguel was a little upset that there was hardly anything valuable in the apartment, and he would not be able to profit. The masks on their faces were explained simply. It was a precautionary measure in case someone suddenly wanted to take photos of them or take a video. Thinking about it, Miguel chuckled. This had never happened in his practice before. Miguel continued to film everything on his phone. For him, everything that was happening turned into a real adventure, although he was well aware of what would happen if he was suddenly discovered. The man was older and stronger than him, and judging by his appearance, he would not stand on ceremony. Miguel's adrenaline was pumping, his legs were numb, as he did not move, afraid that he would be heard. And if before the spectacle was a pleasure, now it looked more like torture. The phone rang again, and the woman quickly jumped to the floor. The man just spread his hands in disappointment. She picked up the phone. The speaker on the phone was so loud that Miguel could hear her talking. "Oh, hi, honey, how are you?" the lady asked happily. "Okay," a man's voice replied. "How are you? I'm fine too. How is your business?" "Everything is fine." The woman, without stopping talking, put her finger to her lips, motioning the man to be silent. "Is everything fine?" The woman asked again. "I'm glad. When will you be back? I'll be there on Friday." "On Friday, I'll drive to the airport." "I love you." "Me too. I'll be looking forward to seeing you." "All right, my dear. I miss you. I've been missing you for too long. I miss you too." "I love you. Do you miss me too?" "Really?" "Oh, my darling, I love you too and miss you terribly. Come back soon. I'll try my best." "Good, I want to see you. I'm running out of battery on my phone." "I'll see you soon. Well, all right, my love. Bye-bye. I love you." Miguel suddenly felt an electric shock. Only now did he recognize the woman. It was Isabella, the mother of his friend Fred. How did he not recognize her right away? Probably because of the too unusual situation I got into. He had always liked Isabella. She had been the object of his fantasies for several years. Miguel found himself in a very dangerous position when Isabella and the man wanted to leave the bathroom, and he, being carried away by the shooting, almost got caught. At the last second, he managed to withdraw his hand. My heart seemed ready to jump out of my chest and my throat was dry. It was also a good thing that the bed was covered with a blanket that hung almost to the floor. Miguel could only pray that no one would want to look under the bed. He froze, afraid to move. It could have ended very badly, but he was lucky. No one looked under the bed. The man quickly packed up and left. The woman, after wandering around the apartment for about half an hour, also left it. After waiting another 15 minutes to be sure, Miguel crawled out from under the bed. Today, he decided not to push his luck anymore and went home. The next day, Miguel, sitting on a stool in the snow-white kitchen, looked out the window. He didn't have a good relationship with his peers. That's probably why he liked older women so much. This went on for a while, until he noticed his neighbor Isabella, the mother of his best friend Fred. Isabella was often the object of his dreams. He even tried to spy on her, but without much success. Isabella's husband worked a lot in a small company. He often traveled to different cities of the country and appeared at home only for a day or two a week. Their son Fred was a little younger than Miguel. They went to the same school, often stayed at each other's houses, exchanging computer games, arguing about football. Despite the small age difference, Fred was Miguel's best friend. His heart was pounding wildly, anticipating the coming events. Miguel was sitting by the window, waiting for Isabella to come from the store. Her husband was on another business trip. Fred told himself that he would be late at night. Everything was going very well for the implementation of his plans. Isabella returned from the store about half an hour later. A red car pulled up to the house. Unhurriedly getting out of it, the woman was going to take out shopping bags from the trunk of the car. Miguel, taking his phone with him, quickly ran outside. Isabella was still standing by her car, unloading bags of food. "Hello, let me help you," Miguel suggested. "Hi, Miguel, thanks for the help." Isabella replied with a smile, handing the guy several plastic bags. "Are you staying at home today?" "Oh, yes, I decided to stay at home today to solve some urgent business." Miguel, with several red and white bags in his hands, followed the woman, who went to the front door and opened it, letting Miguel pass. He went to the kitchen, where he laid out his purchases on the kitchen table. "Thank you very much, Miguel. You're welcome. I'm always happy to help you." Miguel winked slyly at the woman. Isabella looked blankly at the guy who came up to her, almost closely. "You smell great. You're not the only one who thinks that the woman laughed." "I know," Miguel smiled back. "You probably make love perfectly well." "What? What did you say?" The woman was amazed. "Miguel, are you sick?" "No." Miguel smiled. "I'm not sick. Take a look at this video, and you will understand everything." I don't want to watch anything. Go home. You're sick. Miguel took his phone out of the back pocket of his jeans. Quickly finding the right video, he pressed the play button. It was the same recording he made yesterday. Watch carefully. Do you recognize yourself? What an abomination, Isabella grimaced. Put it away immediately. I won't take it away. Don't you recognize yourself? No. They have masks on their faces. What makes you think it's me? Okay, Miguel said through clenched teeth, launching the video from another location. I'll have to show your husband this. The guy stretched out his hand close to the woman's eyes. Isabella's voice came from the speaker of the phone. Where did you get this? Isabella asked, startled. From a camel, Miguel laughed when he saw her confused face. Suddenly, the woman's face changed. She tried to grab Miguel's phone from his hand, but the guy had a good reaction. He definitely removed his hand, preventing the woman from snatching the phone. Get out of here immediately. The scoundrel, you bastard! Isabella screamed shrilly. Isabella was taken aback by surprise. This was not what she had expected. Miguel, carefully watching the woman's reaction, said calmly, smiling gently, I can give you the phone. I have a copy of the recording on my computer, and I can make as many copies as I want. Do you understand? No. Please behave yourself. Isabella screamed, pulling away from the guy's embrace. We have to cooperate if you don't want me to show the video to your son and husband. The woman tried to pull away from Miguel, but she did it more instinctively. Isabella gave up. She had no choice. Her husband would kill her if he found out what she did for a living. And her poor friend, what he might think of his mother if he found out the truth. Okay, Miguel, we're going to make love, but only once. Do you understand me? You will do what I tell you, and as many times as I want, the young man said arrogantly. Otherwise, everyone in the neighborhood will know what a cheater you are. Is everything clear? I see, the woman replied quietly. We shouldn't be doing this. You're my son's friend. Isabella protested desperately. Do you want him to see your video? Miguel asked calmly. A few minutes later, Miguel lifted the woman to her feet. I've done everything you wanted. And now get out. Isabella said with difficulty, trying to catch her breath. No, that's not all. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened. A young man with disheveled hair, a distorted face and burning eyes stood on the threshold. He was wearing a white t-shirt and beige pants. Fred, Isabella, and Miguel exclaimed in unison. Mom, Fred shouted beside himself with anger. How could you cheat on your father? Miguel and Isabella stopped what they were doing and turned in Fred's direction, stunned. He knew for sure that Fred wasn't due until the evening. The appearance of a friend put him in a state of stupor. Isabella was as shocked as Miguel by the sudden appearance of her son. How do you talk to your mom, Fred? The woman exclaimed. Besides, you've got it all wrong. Well, of course, shouted Fred ironically. What can be misunderstood here? Isabella and Fred were confused at the same time. Fred, join us, Miguel offered, waving his hand. No. Mother and son exclaimed at the same time. Hey, Fred, come to your mom, Miguel said. Make him do it, or I'll tell him what you do for a living. My son, Isabella said with sudden authority. You must obey me. Well done. Miguel praised his friend. Fred, don't pay attention to her words, Miguel said, glaring at the woman. And don't forget yourself. Satisfied smiles froze on the faces of the guys and the woman. Miguel was smiling in anticipation of what he would do with Isabella tomorrow. Fred, on the other hand, was smiling at the fact that his carefully crafted plan had worked. Yes, it was he who, through their mutual acquaintance, tipped off Miguel to the apartment, knowing that his mother would be there. He calculated what would happen next. He doesn't know yet that Fred has already erased the video from his phone, having previously copied it to himself. Fred smiled even wider, and he also doesn't know that hidden cameras are installed in the apartment and they filmed everything. My husband came from a business trip and did not guess anything. After this incident, there were no more such situations, and after a few years, everyone forgot about what happened.